Hello, welcome. Another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back in the Formula 4 for yet another track guide. This time at Autodromo Hermanos Rodríguez, better known as Mexico City. If you are new to my channel, what we do is a hot lap, then a breakdown lap, then we are back in the cockpit one final time, the driving line on. This is the fixed setup, and the brake bias is shown on the wheel cam. Right, let's start the hot. Right, let's start the hot lap. So we're going to be smashing it down this mega long straight. Not too much explaining needed. Did a lot of races here in the LMP3 earlier on, so now I know this track a lot better. And what we're looking for initially is this 3 marker, braking up to about 90% down to 3rd gear. You can sort of ignore that apex to get back on the gas. Absolutely flat there through that second part. A little bit slippy mid-corner, as you can see. Over to the right-hand side, we're looking for the 1 marker, and again, we're going to be braking quite hard. You can see the brake bias on the wheel cam. Down to 2nd gear, back on the gas, over to the left-hand side, light tab on the brakes, back on the gas nice and early. Exit nice and wide, so a bit of wide entry in here. Smoothly back on the gas in 2nd gear, over to the right-hand side, up to 4th gear, looking for that border potty. Getting ready, light dab on the brakes, back on the gas in 4th gear. Now this is where you can get so much from cutting the corners. Lightly on the brakes again, on the gas, and again really cutting the corners. I was not aware of that at first. Now halfway down this bit, on the brakes, down to 3rd gear, back on the gas, over to the right hand side. On the brakes again, down to 1st gear, and now we're going to take a huge amount of inside curve, and then we're totally ignoring that one, running over it, down to 2nd gear, on the gas, clipping the apex, back over to the right hand side. Now you can get your right hand tyre on that, but you don't want to ground yourself in the middle. And over across we go in a 143.4. Right, let's do the brake. Do this breakdown. It's 5:15 AM, Friday the 17th. Now, as I put in the love of the game. Right, first braking marker is going to be coming up shortly. So we're going to go through the 4, and it's just before the 3. So I'll stop when we start braking. So here's where we start doing it. So by the time we're through the 3, we're up to sort of 90%. Wipe that off, down to 3rd gear. Now, I could have turned slightly earlier and I could have made the apex. However, I started getting on the gas nice and early. And now basically as soon as you straighten the wheel out, that's when you're back on the brakes, only up to about 25%. And then we are looking to sort of start picking back up on the gas. You can see there I'm at 1% at this stage on the apex. And again, got to really attack these corners around Mexico. Otherwise you are literally going to be seconds behind. It really is an attack the corner track. Right, for this next corner, we are braking exactly where I am now, so just before the 1 marker as we come into turn 5. And again, we brake up to about 80%. Wipe all that speed off, and then we're going to trail it off as we look towards the apex. Again, taking a huge amount of inside, a little bit of grassy. Back on the gas, over to the left-hand side now. Dab on the brakes, only up to about 25%. Trail it off. Again, taking a load of curbing. Nice wide entry here as we come into turn 6. And we're only going to brake up to about 40% or 30% briefly. Trail it off, and we're looking to get back onto full gas, more or less, as we hit the 2nd apex. Again, exit nice and wide. They are 3D curbs, a bit bouncy. Now, I didn't like the 3D curbness of the entry into this corner here, so I was just keeping my right hand tyres on the curbing rather than jumping across it and having to jump back, and that's so that I can carry as much speed as possible back on 100% the apex. So this is where you've really got to cut the curb, and absolutely flat, massively cutting the curb again here on the inside. And back over to the left hand side, light dab on the brakes, only up to about 20%. On the gas, 100%. Again, absolutely flat through here, and again, massively big on the side. You'll find that once you start doing that, if you haven't been doing it, you will get 5 seconds. Right, our next braking marker is going to be about 2 car lengths into this rumble strip on the left-hand side. We brake up to about 75%, wipe all that speed off, down to 3rd gear, almost back at 100% as we are jumping over this curb. Over to the right-hand side, and then just before we get there, as we're going past this non-alcoholic Heineken sign, who would drink that? We are back on the brakes, up to about 60%, trail that off, down to 2nd, down to 1st. So I just clip the inside curb here on the left-hand side. If you take too much of it, it sends you bouncing, and then you can't do the required steering for the next part. And we're taking some inside curb, and then look, we're totally going to ignore this part. Now we're going to run over here. We drop it down to 2nd as we brake, and getting as close as we can to the no-cut curb on the inside. Right, we have one final version coming up next with the driving line on, without me talking